I'm Rebecca Bowering, and this is Tech24. Coming up in the programme, they may not have predicted a riot, but they certainly fuelled the fire used by vandals to coordinate unrest. Social networks are in the dock in Britain. Prime Minister David Cameron's threatened a kill switch, while communities use Twitter to clear up the mess. We'll look at the two faces of social media. And in a bad week for BlackBerry, Facebook launches an instant chat rival. Send messages to everyone on your friends list with this mobile app. We'll weigh up whether it spells the end for texting. London and Birmingham, Manchester and Liverpool. Last week, the social fabric of Britain was torn apart by the worst rioting seen for a generation. To spread the word, vandals used social networks and instant messaging, particularly BlackBerry smartphones. That prompted calls for closer monitoring of services and even a blackout during times of unrest. But social media has had an equally constructive role to play. The web has been both policeman and caretaker in the aftermath of the riots, helping track down the perpetrators and organise clean-up operations. Eric Olander from France24.com now joins me in the studio. Eric, we used to riot quite well in Britain without social media. How have things changed? Well, how was it different last week?
Well, the scale of the presence of social media was very important here. The BlackBerry Messenger was, of course, the central tool that a lot of the kids used to organize, that ability to send one message to many people at the same time. And now looking back a week later, we're seeing that that was one of the big trends that came out of this, was both the ability to organize quickly and the inability of the police and the political structure to understand what was happening. We talked to a Labour Party member of Parliament last week on one of the shows here, and he said there was a culture difference between the two generations, that one just didn't know how to talk to the other. And of course, that brought up what we saw in the Arab world as well, when the likes of Ben Ali and Mubarak didn't understand the technology that they were being confronted with. And so here again, we saw this as well.
And how has David Cameron reacted?
Well, this is one of these things that I'm not sure if I want to laugh or I want to cry. Let's start with the laughing part. There's a ridiculous notion of this idea of shutting down the social networks. And this was something that's been floated out by not only the Prime Minister, but also by certain members of Parliament as well, that said in times of turmoil, shut down these networks because those are what people are using to organize. Now, the Prime Minister has gone around all over the world, all over Africa, the Middle East, Asia, talking about the benefits of social media. We even have a quote from him that we pulled up, and we found out when he was in Kuwait, talking to people about the social network, saying, this is your tool of liberty, this is your tool of empowerment, and this hypocrisy. Let's take a look at the quote that he said. It belongs to a new generation for whom technology, the internet and social media is a powerful tool in the hands of citizens, not a means of repression. It belongs to the people who've had enough of corruption, of having to make do with what they're given, of having to settle for second best. This was
ironic now, is it not?
It's ironic and it's hypocritical to the nth degree. Now, people will argue that what's happened in the streets of London are looters and what was happening in the streets of Cairo are pro-democracy, but the means of shutting down these networks when the pressure gets hot is exactly the same. In my opinion, the Prime Minister, and along with Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, who said very similar things, are hypocrites for going into these other countries and telling the other dictators and other governments to shut down these networks. When the pressure comes on themselves, they then turn to those same means.
Let's have a look at the flip side of the coin, as it were. Twitter being used for good. It mobilised people to get out on the streets, to clear up. There was a hashtag riot cleanup. There was even a whole feed dedicated to that. It seems to me that social networks are just a communication tool, and they can be used for good or ill, depending on whose hands they're in. Do you agree?
But this is why the Prime Minister's suggestion of shutting down the networks is so truly moronic, because these are being used for both good and for ill. So on the good side, families were communicating with their loved ones on how to avoid the riots. People were using these to clean up. We're using these to raise money for the businesses that have been burned down. Even in the midst of the conflict, people were using these for good in order to communicate, to share information. So, of course, these are tools in people's hands. They can use them for good or for ill.
They also documented events, didn't they? People using amateur footage. There was that clip that went viral of the injured boy who was helped up by vandals and then promptly mugged. They took everything out of his backpack. And then there were websites and blogs popping up like Catch a Looter on Tumblr. So the police are also able to tap into the power of social networking to help catch the perpetrators. So surely the government must see that that's a force for good.
You know, the government is saying that they're using social media. Again, they're speaking out of both sides of their mouth here. On the one hand, the government is saying, you know, we need to shut them down, we need to control them, we need to be able to contain the effects of social media. On the other hand, of course, they're aggressively using them. There are real questions about human rights and civil rights when the government and the police is posting pictures up of suspected looters. Again, you know, no one's gone through a process of law, no one's gone through a judicial due process here. And yet, bear in mind, when a young person gets tagged with a Flickr picture on the London Met's Flickr page, that never goes away. You cannot delete an image from the internet. So there are real consequences if that person happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
The wrong people could be in the frame.
Of course, and there's no legal process. You can't get this off the internet. You can't call Mark Zuckerberg up and say, I want to delete that picture from Facebook that was recopied from Flickr. So they're playing with fire here, and a lot of people in the emotion of the day say, give these kids what they deserve. But the fact is that we live in a system of laws and process. And this process that they're doing is subjugating the rights of the accused to have a fair trial in court and to be able to defend themselves. You can't defend yourself when the police just put your picture out there like that.
OK, thank you for that, Eric. And stay with us for Test 24 coming up next. Well, following on from that discussion on social media, we're turning our attention now to Facebook's latest foray into the world of instant messaging. Now, Eric, was it good timing or bad timing on the behalf of the social network to announce this week, given all that stuff with BlackBerry, that it was launching a rival app for iPhone and Android? Well,
obviously in the UK, people are a little more sensitive about this, but around the world, people are going to really enjoy this new app from Facebook. Now, it came out uncharacteristically quiet from Facebook. They just kind of sneaked this out into the US market.
It's only in the US at the moment.
Only in the US right now. What it does, and because I have a US account, I've been able to play with it. What it basically does is it filters out all of the extra noise that you get on Facebook. You know, birth announcements, relationships, divorces, any, pictures of babies, pets, you name it, and just puts messages and on your portable phone.
And group messages.
And group messages. So the same functionality with BlackBerry Messenger, one-to-many. Here you can do the same thing here. It's a very practical device. It also means you can never turn off and turn away because Facebook is with you at all times.
And can it replace texting? Some people have said that.
Probably not replace. We don't look at anything as black or white or replacing. It's going to complement. It's more competition for texting, but at the same time, people will just add this to their current information diet.
So you would say download it.
Absolutely.
No news yet on when it's going to be released elsewhere.
No, but it's a fantastic little app.
Thank you very much, Eric Orlando, and thank you to you for watching this edition of Tech24. Find us on the social network /Tech24 there in English and in French. Follow Eric's Twitter feed at EricF24, and you can follow me too at rbowringjourno. And finally, it hooked in some 10 million users within 3 weeks. Eric himself is a big fan, but if you're still not quite sure what to make of the newest social network on the block, that's, of course, Google+, we have something for you. This video, to the tune of Queen's Another One Bites the Dust, will reveal all. The makers say the Google+ movie is years away, but in the meantime, this song answers all your questions about what the heck it actually is. Well, she seems won over by the end. Will you be? Take care and bye for now.
A new thing for me to learn. This could take all night. Damn it. What is this Google Plus? I don't need Google Plus. There's another +1 and another +1. What is this Google Plus? Hey, what's this red thing here? Go away, Google Plus. They want me to put my friends in circles, but circles are for squares. Every day is like Sophie's Choice, trying to choose which ring goes where. But no parents or ex-boyfriends can get in without invites. And when I drunkenly post that he's cute, I can edit it later that night. Whoa. I kinda like Google Plus.